The CIA once hired a mobster to kill a foreign leader. That mobster was not some low-level street thug. He was the same man who allegedly helped elect a president of the United States. His name was Sam Giancana, and his story sits at the most dangerous intersection of organized crime, American politics, and Cold War espionage that this country has ever seen. Salvatore Giancana was born on May 24, 1908, in the near west side of Chicago, a neighborhood so rough that surviving your teenage years was considered an achievement. The son of Sicilian immigrants, he grew up in poverty, surrounded by street gangs and the early roots of what would become the American Mafia. By the time he was a teenager, he was already running with the 42 Gang, a violent street crew known for robberies, car thefts, and general mayhem. He was arrested for murder 3 times before the age of 20. Each time, charges were dropped. Witnesses had a habit of disappearing. This was not luck. This was a skill Sam Giancana was refining, the ability to make problems vanish. His entry into the Chicago outfit, the city's organized crime organization, came through Al Capone's structure, but Giancana rose under the mentorship of Tony Accardo. He was not the biggest man in the room, he was not the loudest, but he was ruthless, cunning, and willing to do things that others hesitated to do. He became known as a wheelman, a getaway driver, and then as an enforcer. His reputation for violence was not just a tool, it was a language that the underworld understood perfectly. By the 1950s, Sam Giancana was running the Chicago outfit. Under his control, the organization expanded its gambling operations, infiltrated labor unions, controlled jukeboxes and vending machines across the city, and extended its reach into Cuba, Las Vegas, and Mexico. Chicago under Giancana was not just a city with a mob problem. Chicago was the mob, and the mob was Chicago. But what makes Giancana's story genuinely extraordinary and genuinely disturbing is what happened next. In the late 1950s, the CIA approached the Chicago outfit with a proposal that sounds like fiction but is thoroughly documented. They wanted the mob to assassinate Fidel Castro. The CIA believed that organized crime, which had lost its lucrative Havana casinos after Castro's revolution, had both the motive and the capability to do what the U.S. government could not do openly. Giancana was brought into the operation. He was given cover as a government asset. The plots were elaborate: poison pills, exploding cigars, toxic cigars, and every single one of them failed. Castro survived. But the collaboration between the United States government and its most powerful crime boss became one of the most classified secrets of the Cold War. The man being hunted by Robert Kennedy's Justice Department was simultaneously on the CIA's payroll. That contradiction alone tells you everything about the era.
Then there is the Kennedy connection, and this is where history becomes genuinely murky. Judith Campbell Exner was a woman who was simultaneously the girlfriend of Sam Giancana and the intimate companion of President John F. Kennedy. She later claimed she served as a courier between the two men, carrying envelopes between the White House and the mob boss. Frank Sinatra, a close friend of both Kennedy and Giancana, was the social bridge that connected these worlds. The Rat Pack era was not just entertainment, it was a network. The 1960 presidential election in Illinois is still debated by historians. Chicago delivered a narrow but crucial victory for Kennedy, and many political observers at the time and since have argued that Giancana's control over Chicago's wards and voting machinery played a role in that outcome. Whether votes were bought, manufactured, or simply influenced through organized political pressure remains a matter of dispute. What is not disputed is that Giancana believed he had helped put Kennedy in the White House, and he expected something in return. What he got instead was Robert Kennedy unleashing the full force of the Justice Department against organized crime. Giancana was surveilled constantly. FBI agents followed him everywhere, including the golf course. He was harassed publicly and professionally. The man who believed he had made a deal
felt deeply, personally betrayed. In 1965, rather than testify before a grand jury, Giancana was granted immunity and still refused to speak. He was jailed for contempt, the only time in his life he actually served prison time for anything meaningful. When he was released, he fled to Mexico, where he lived in relative comfort for several years, continuing to manage criminal interests from a distance. He returned to the United States in 1974. By then, the world had changed, the outfit had changed, his power had diminished. On June 19, 1975, Sam Giancana was in the basement of his Oak Park home, cooking sausages and peppers on the stove. Someone he trusted walked in behind him. He was shot once in the back of the head, and then 6 more times around the jaw, a mob signature, a message about talking too much. The timing was not random. He had been subpoenaed by the Senate's Church Committee, which was investigating the CIA mafia plots to assassinate Castro. He was scheduled to testify in days. He never did. No one was ever charged with Sam Giancana's murder. The case remains officially unsolved. What he left behind is not just a criminal legacy, but a set of unanswered questions that go to the heart of American power. Questions about who actually runs things, about the deals made in the dark between government and criminals, about elections and assassinations, and the thin line between statecraft and organized crime. Sam Giancana did not just run Chicago. For one strange, dangerous decade, he was tangled up in the machinery of the most powerful government on earth, and both sides acted like that was completely normal. That might be the most unsettling part of the whole story.